Unashamed family, I pray you're doing well. And I'm not sure if you've been following the Robert Morris Gateway Church situation where Robert Morris confessed to having an inappropriate relationship with a young lady, which turns out it was actually a young girl, 12 years old, back in, I forgot what time frame it was, but I really don't put this kind of stuff on content on my channel, but this one really has hit me pretty hard as with the recent confession of Tony Evans and then now Robert Morris, and just the impact that this is having on, I believe, churches and people. And this I listened to CBS News a little bit ago, and there was a ex-pastor of Gateway Church and a licensed therapist that gave his input and feedback in the whole scenario. And I thought it was quite interesting. So take a look, and then I'll get back at the end.
I appreciate you joining me today. Now, you were on staff at Gateway Church from 2005 until 2014. What was it like for you to hear the allegations against Robert Morris?
You know, I've been trained to think two different things at one time. You know, I'm a human being who has my own particular set of emotions and thoughts and experiences, and I also think kind of what is this going to mean? What's the big picture? What are the other people that'll be affected? What are the implications? And so my mind did both of those things at once. And of course, the personal thing is I'm heartbroken. And first and foremost, of course, the first thing I read was the post that described that she was a 12-year-old girl in pink pajamas. And the very first thing is my heart just broke for a little 12-year-old girl in pink pajamas.
You know, post-traumatic stress disorder, it is one of the most common psychological effects on childhood sexual assault. This woman has had to deal with this for a long time. I can only imagine the nightmares she may have experienced, the trauma she may have experienced of being around males. I can just only imagine it had to be hard on her. And I can only imagine it being hard on her even at this point here coming forth.
Part of my work as a licensed therapist is that I work with people who have been sexually abused at all different stages and ages in life. And when I read that, I think that was even maybe the headline. When I read that, I just thought the implications of that for this poor woman who not only dealt with that at the time, but my goodness, has carried it for a lifetime, likely. And so the first thing, my heart just went out to her. And I think, secondly, I felt a sense of this is not the story that I was told. So almost a sense of betrayal. Well, not almost, yeah, a sense of betrayal and anger about that and sadness.
You know, as we can see that apparently they only knew about young lady and not 12-year-old girl. And so we can see how I think they handle it properly, whereas, you know, they heard young lady, but still there's a question is he had an inappropriate relationship with a young lady, would you not have dove deeper into that? So, I mean, that's still a question that some could still be asking, but they're saying that they knew what we knew. And once they found out, then they took the appropriate measures.
I think as near as I understand, and as near as I understand, the public and the church leadership got the same information, or at least at the level of leadership I was. And that information is that there was an inappropriate relationship with a young woman. And in that, I think there's a language there that leads to a certain conclusion. I think that's even part of what I wrote about, is that the language can be designed to use in such a way, to be used in such a way to kind of lead people to natural conclusions.
Even in the statement that had been released, in the past few days, "young lady" was the term that was used again. And I know that the victim in this, the accuser in this, took exception to that and said, "I was 12 years old." I mean, that detail, I think, has been obviously very shocking to people there. What are some of the conversations that we need to be having as Christians in the church today regarding these issues?
Goodness, we could spend 3 days really parsing out that question, because it's my opinion and observation that there really is an epidemic of abuse within, and in many cases from, the church itself.
Wow. Very insightful. And the couple of things that stood out to me is that, as he said, that it was the elders didn't have all the information. He had mentioned it was a young lady and ended up being a young girl. and the 12 years old. And so they took the appropriate action, I believe, in handling it. Some may think they did, some may think they did, and I think they did. The second thing that I guess the journalist asked the question is, how do you keep your faith in God? What should people keep their faith in God when things like this are going on? And I think he answered it brilliantly. He said that we put our trust in God, not those that misrepresent God. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to have to give an account to what we do on this earth with what God gave us. So again, I pray that you guys are praying for church members, praying for leaders, and that you look to Jesus for your strength. You look to Jesus for for everything and not man. Okay, so if you have any other thoughts, if you'd like to comment, please drop some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think, how you keep walking with God despite all the stuff that's going on. What do you think about how they handle it and what's going on? So be good in the comments and be respectful. And I pray that you will never forget that God is good all the time, all the time. Our God is good. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified. Have a blessed day.